It is another gorgeous day and another dose of Did You Know? And with me today is the amazing, all the way from Seattle, Jonathan. How are you today?
Well, good morning, Danielle. I'm doing 100%. Thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome. So tell the world a little bit about Jonathan, besides that you take the most amazing pictures every morning, like to create jealousy across the world. Just saying.
Well, I enjoy those sunrises. I'm Jonathan Frizzell. I'm a third-generation native of Seattle. The last 11 years, I live across the peninsula in a little middle-class seaside neighborhood called Manette, which is in east of Bremerton, west of Enitai. And love what I do for a living, love people. As an extrovert, as you know, it's been an interesting challenge the last 120 days.
Yeah.
But I guess this is what this platform's for, right?
It is. You can make friends wherever you are under any circumstance if you choose to. Like, I think I've collected more people in my life than normal. Maybe
Sure.
I'm what is that word? Like I'm a go-getter. Maybe that's it. That's not the word I wanted, but that's the word that came to my mind.
How about moxie?
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. You know, 15 years ago or 10 years ago, you segregated your LinkedIn profile with your Facebook, and oh my gosh, we have two separate groups, and certainly that's changed the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, they've become friends.
Yeah,
they are becoming friends.
They become friends. I like that.
I want to talk about what you do, because I've listened to you speak on other podcasts. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what you do. And then my biggest question is, how does somebody with such a great personality do something to me that sounds like this? Wah, 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 wah. Like, how do you marry that?
I get that all the time for almost 14 years now. So yeah, it's I offer an IRS approved service called cost segregation, and it's an acceleration of depreciation of one's commercial assets. This includes multifamily, and we'll even look at single family. But most properties are on a 27.5-year depreciable life, multifamily or commercial at 39. So the IRS allows you, when you have a high quality cost segregation study performed, to go and get them in smaller buckets. They're smaller depreciable buckets, and therefore you can accelerate that depreciation, and that of course will reduce your federal and state income taxes big time.
Everybody see how sexy this is?
Yeah. So I love what I do. It's great. Only less than 10, maybe 10% of the public out there, small, medium, large cap companies, privately or publicly held, are even doing it. So. And just when you think somebody is doing cost seg, as they call for short, they're not. Even most sophisticated families or companies, it's pretty amazing how many are not doing it, frankly.
Well, how do you know that you should do it?
Well, that's a great question. It's all about education. I'm nationally certified to do these 50-minute, 1-hour CPE courses for tax professionals. I try to, illustrate just like you do. And when you're, in life insurance for veterans and what have you, you talk about the perceived impossibility that's very possible, and it's really not just about acceleration and depreciation anymore. And we certainly don't have any time this afternoon to get into it. But you got partial asset disposition opportunities, you got extra write-down conditions, plus you have 100% bonus depreciation as well. So you really get the losses now on these new acquisitions last couple of years in the first year. So it's just not just about acceleration depreciation, but it's a great management asset tool. When you start improving your properties, you're going to know the value of what that component is that you're throwing in the dumpster, and you get it off the books. Well, that was a 50-minute CP course in 6 minutes. So
you did good. Yes, Matt, you did really good. You're a fast talker. You're a fast mover today.
I don't know about that, but I love getting up early. I've got a lot of East Coast clients, and I just, as you know, I called somebody's bluff here last week when you saw me up early in the morning, right? So
yes.
Via text or Facebook. So. A shout out to Todd Dean for introducing us. It's very interesting. the likely and the unlikely people that introduce other people. It's always a fascinating dynamic, right?
Is it that?
It is, yeah. And so, thanks to Todd Dean on that. But we go back about 12 years ago in the commercial real estate, fixed asset, angel investor world. So.
Yeah, I always find, like, what kind of psychology goes behind that? Like, what was going on in Todd's mind when he was like, I need to connect Jonathan and Danielle. They're going to love each other. I mean, like,
well, I could probably give my 12-second, guess on that.
Is that a guess that should be said out loud, or is that a guess that you should keep in your mind?
I remember no disclosure papers were signed. No, but no, you and I, Danny, we're still trying to come out of our shell, right?
Yeah. So, I am naturally shy. No one believes me.
You and I are just a couple wallflowers, right? And so, Todd thought it'd be a good idea for us to meet and to chat and to get to know each other. So it's kind of funny, tongue in cheek to Todd Dean. I mean, he just kind of figured it would be a pretty good fit. So
yeah, he's a smart man. Yeah. He's a smart man. So back to the real stuff here. Actually, I have questions.
Questions. Fire.
So you said you work with, like, is it accountants that you educate?
Well, pretty much tax professionals, enrolled agents, CPAs, tax attorneys. But the reason for my success, and I say this with humility, by the way, nothing but hard work, but my own personal book of business, I work with any provider, the commercial property owner, to complement their book of business. I work with a ton of brokers as well, CCIMs, SIRs, designations. But gosh, PNC guys and dolls, property and casualty, certainly lenders and bankers, property managers. I just don't go to the consigliere, not just the CPA, Yeah.
So I was mostly thinking, like, let's say someone doesn't even know, sometimes you get stuck into these situations through generational families, and the generations before, it's been a little chaos. They're not,
Sure.
So what would someone in that kind of situation say to their professional to even know?
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I work with family office a lot. And so now, I work with the patriarchs and matriarchs, and now I'm working with the children. And those children are, well into their 40s and 50s now. And so who knows, probably working with their kids here in 10, 15 years. So, I had a CPA once when I was presenting, years ago, 10 years ago. And he says, Jonathan, whether we like consultants or not, or salespeople, we need people like you to shake our tree, because we're down on what we don't know, and we're always up on what we do know. So, I like to shake that apple tree occasionally and just go ahead and illustrate. You and I both we like to illustrate more than sell. It's one of the 51 commonalities that you and I have. True selling is introverting selling and illustration of your services. And you're either gonna pique their interest and needs or wants or not, frankly. Right. So. But I had a shift early in my career after a couple years of struggling. I got my first deal after a couple years, but my first client, by the way, was an Italian.
Yeah,
Panfilo Morelli, beautiful man, still alive. God bless him. He and his father and three uncles actually homesteaded in Redmond, where Microsoft campus is today, and he and the CPA knew that it was my first deal, and they gave me a shot. And I never forget where I come from, Danya. I never forget my first deal. You know what I mean? You never forget. You never forget, and that keeps me grounded and keeps me humbled, and it reminds me exactly where I started. And never can seem to get away from the Italians my entire adult life. So
I know we're like, I don't know, like a leech or something, a very nice leech. That's not a very good one, but
there's quite an Italian community here in Seattle, that's for sure. And that includes ones from the old country that originally came in only 25, 30 years ago. So I can't wait for you to come out here. I'm going to introduce you to Farchetta, brothers, Salvio and Leo. And if you got time with your husband, bring him in tow. You can do some boating up in Anacortes, and I'll give you Raffaele and Gino. And now they would just get a kick out of you and your husband. Oh my God.
I was in Long Island working maybe it was last month, and I'm going to see Italians, and they're like right off the bone. We're going to their restaurant. It was my friend and I, Urata, beautiful designer. If you haven't checked out her stuff, amazing. But anyways, so we walk in, and I looked at her, and I'm like, she's from Lithuania, and she's very she has the accent and just glamorous. But I walk in, and I'm like, I think I'm at my grandfather's table here. There's this long table with old Italians with their drink, and every time the door opens, they look like, do we get up? Do we not? I love the energy of it. It makes me feel
the community table is huge, particularly with the Italians and the Greeks. But you probably see that among the Spaniards and the French too. Hell, the Japanese do that in some of their.
I think it's the old culture.
Yeah, it's old culture. Yeah.
Yeah, I lost it.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. So I've had the privilege of working for them, working with them, fighting with them as well.
It's not really
a good thing.
It's love. It's love talk.
Yeah, love talk.
No,
nobody says love talk like you do on a Thursday, Danny. But yeah, so it's fascinating. And so what I try to encourage my recruits, over the years when I was recruiting, trying to build my team, and I'm mentoring a few people in my group as well. One in particular, stop doing what's not working. Stop doing what you used to work but doesn't work today. And always try something new. And if there's a group of people that you're burnt out on calling on, get out of self and call on another group of people. And, stop counting your chickens before they're even hatched. Stop worrying about what money you're going to make on a deal. Listen to the client, get out of self there and really be focused on what the inherent needs and wants are of the client. And so I had a change there. And I don't know, after a couple of years of doing this, because, hunger and starving will do that to you, Danny.
Oh, it will.
When you're carrying losses for a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a little Joseph Campbell, a little Byron Katie, maybe.
We will not change until the pain is strong enough.
Yeah. So that was what happened. And then I had a 4th, 5th generation family in Seattle, very closely held. And another Italian American from Kidder Matthews. He's retired now. Beautiful guy. Friends with he and his wife. And he gave me his former employer. And that was a game changer for me. And I won't verbatim say the words he told me, but he says, Jonathan, don't you sell them a damn thing. I want you to listen to their tax problem, and I want you to solve those problems. And just maybe they'll send you a stack of federal tax depreciation schedules for you to review. But I don't want you to sell them a damn thing. Can you do that? And I still tell that at a happy hour or at his house. They live up in Whidbey Island, up north. And he just smiles because he thinks he's surprised how much that had such an impression on me. Yeah. Because here's a man, a friend of mine, colleague, never thrown a bone my way ever until then. And he was literally, like any good Italian, I would tell you, conditions of satisfaction, right?
Absolutely. Can you qualify? Can you uphold that?
A lot of times people can't. Yeah, absolutely. And so, we went through the scenario, and it was, believe it or not, it was a property up north in Anchorage, and they had properties all over the Western United States. And so I brought in my counsel, and we got to write to the recommendation. And they agreed on it. The CFO pulled me aside and said, you know, if you now that you've settled this argument between the patriarch and the in-house counsel, you know, I'll get you those schedules, Jonathan. The rest is history. So, and I never looked. It was, you know, some solicited, unsolicited advice, right? Mm-hmm. You know, type A alpha male, sometimes not always up for that. It was nice to follow out when somebody was referring me to somebody, to follow out their instructions or guidelines to the T, and trust it, right? Trust what trust is in there. So,
well, I think this is a lot about your personality, you know, a lot about your personality, because especially type A men, right? They putting your ego aside, having your ego work for you instead of against you,
right?
It's a challenge. But there was some shift in you somewhere along the line that you you did what you said you were going to do.
Well, and I've always done that in professional service in my lifetime. Certainly, certain periods of my life with a little more imperfection than perfection. That would be another meeting, by the way, Danny.
Well, that's the one I want to hear about.
Yeah, that's going to cost both of us. We'd have to write checks to each other immediately. But no, seriously, it was like a, you know, I had a client once tell me, literally, he said, you know, your burning desire of servitude, Jonathan, is from biblical proportions in the Old Testament. And I just didn't know what to say to that. And they were serious. And so, you know, it's service is really about the before you gather the data to create the estimate of benefits proposal, during engagement, after engagement, through the process, delivery, long after everybody's been paid. 9 months later, you're going to take a call to make sure that study is applied to the return. And I try to treat everybody exactly the same, regardless of their wealth or their background or their importance. Everybody gets the same treatment from Jonathan, no matter what. Mm-hmm. You know, and so oftentimes, Danny, you know, the kitchen gets a little hot during tax deadlines. It's a little warm in there.
Yeah.
And you got multi-tiers of deadlines: the family's internal deadlines, the tax professional, the attorney. Of course, you got the IRS's deadlines too, and filing returns. And you know, you don't get the data on time, and so when it gets really warm in the El Forno, you know, when I just go pour myself a cup of coffee and stay right there at the kitchen table and get her done. In fact, actually, there's probably some, you know, I actually enjoy it a little bit because I know that I'm never going to give up. I'm never going to hide underneath the covers, you know.
Yeah. I think that's a little bit of excitement. You get a little bit of excitement of that that tension that goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, you've got to really take the high road. I got another family in Southern Oregon, and you know, he just wasn't getting the cost data to me. And you know, sometimes people things come out of their mouths and eat in front of their wife, actually, the partner, and you just got to take the high road. And I never got an apology, but he remembered that. And then even though he went with another CPA firm, let go of his other one, and then he came back to me, even though I was no longer with that company, to facilitate the change of accounting method forms on about 12 properties. And then I had to go to my old company to go ahead and gather the data and put it together. And so, and now we're looking at a couple more with, you know, my current company I'm with. So it's just very interesting. You know, like you, Danny, I was looking up your birth date a little bit, but you know, we like loyalty, and that's kind of a Leo thing, but you know, we enjoy wherever we go, personally and professionally. Mm-hmm. We enjoy 100% retention, don't we, Danny?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It is when you like lead with your full intention, right? Kind of like what you were saying. I love listening to your talk because you're very analytical. You're like the numbers guy. Like, let me tell you, people, I was listening to this podcast and he's like spewing tax code and data like R52, and the definition like it was, you know, his birthday. And I'm like, who are you? Like, how did that even stay in there? So to listen to you talk about
Oh,
service and, leading with purity and basically leading with heart, it's cracking me up inside because you say it in such a mathematical, strategic way.
Well, I was listening to one of your videos. I can't remember. It was just recently posted, and I got a kick out of it. We have, we could get our roller butcher paper out and a pallet full of boxes of Crayola and make a list of the commonalities. Again, to Todd Dean, credit here,
Right.
But leading with your heart, and it's really none of my business what people think or say about me. There's a sub theme in there. I didn't. It's kind of funny, I don't always do that, but I took a deep dive on some of your stuff and really listened to it because I really wanted to understand you, because I felt like I already did anyway. But I didn't want that to be ego. I wanted to confirm whether I really understood you or not.
Right.
I do understand you, Danny.
You might get scared, so watch out. You might need to back out slowly of that.
But, it's just funny, purpose. And they talk about it, but, what is your purpose today? When I start my day anywhere from 4:30 to 5 o'clock or so, what am I going to do today to bring value and to bring my best Jonathan, my most authentic Jonathan. And then, obviously day to day, there's going to be imperfections there. Right. Yeah. And then, maybe at on the deck or something with a cigar, I'm going to review that day. I'm going to see what that day was like. And I don't think we're doing enough of that in our country. We're not starting out with gratitude and humility and what am I going to do to give myself the best day and everybody around me.
Yeah.
And then do some review on that later in the day, or maybe do baby reviews during the day, which is really, and then that becomes really a lot of work, because we just don't want to. We don't even want to look at what just took place.
No,
we'll keep that underneath the.
We'll forget about it. We'll just forget about it. But so this is what I love about our meeting, is that even though I have I have a concept of what you do, but I could never pitch you to somebody ever. I'm not even going to pretend to be able to do that. But no matter what it is that people do, no matter their job, the complexity, the simplicity of it, good people that lead are out there. So don't just say like, oh, I don't know this, this category, so I'm just going to go with who's recommended to me without actually knowing the person. Like, that is one of the biggest takeaways I have of our friendship when Todd put us together, is that we don't spend your money and your time with people that don't align with you in everything that you do, whether it's, something in your category or something as simple as going to a restaurant. And you just solidified that theory for me.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I always try to give everybody a fair, equal, high level, open arms shot. But if things aren't working out, they tend to, Raffaele, this Italian friend of mine, beautiful guy from Ischia, right off by Capri. He says, Jonathan, little itsy bitty little sliver will come out of the thumb. Sometime, and basically what Raffaele is saying is that, you're, no matter what, don't worry, forget about it, because the sliver's going to come out of the thumb, and then that relationship's going to, you can take that in 9 different ways, right? You can cover it all kinds of different ways. I knew if I talked and listened enough, I would go back to what I remember I was going to say to you. So being understood and being misunderstood. Good stuff, Danny. Look at how quiet she is over there. Beautiful. Yeah. And it really struck me. So now I've been spending some time on you.
Yes.
And so I just straightened out my chair. I got so excited there. So but that's very important, right? Because oftentimes, the antithesis of a wallflower, right? We're misunderstood a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, even among our own colleagues sometimes, and friends and clients. And then we're back to the same, you know, none of my business what people think or say, right? You know, and then you got to walk a little bit. And it's very interesting. It's fascinating. And it's an ongoing, evolving exercise, isn't it, Danny?
Oh, it's constantly, because I'm always like, who I was yesterday is not who I am today. Things happened. Exactly. My life, you know, there was nothing like dramatic that happened, but I read things, I learned things, I had conversations with people, and those things change you. And it's how they change you and how you interpret them that brings you today. But if you don't do what you do every day, if you don't look at yourself, how do you want to be? You kind of end up on this like dull path. And then 3 months, 6 months, 3 years go by and you are like stuck and unhappy. And like, you don't even feel like you know the person that you're in.
Right. Kind of a precursor to the definition of insanity, if you will.
Absolutely.
I think you can borrow that one a little bit. Anyway,
I always write down, I was like, I'm stealing that from you. And I have to go write it down.
But you know, I try to tell that to my mentees or recruiters, that recruitees, is that basically you know, stop doing what doesn't work anymore. Never sit on one client that you think you're going to close. Keep moving. Activity spurs activity. Again, listen to the client. They may not even know. Their needs and wants may not even be correct and accurate. Maybe they're looking at the wrong direction. So it's your job to, with a very little footprint as possible, to guide them and let them take a look at another way without selling them. I mean, it's really an art form to consulting and selling, as you know. And but yeah, I've had near 100% retention, and you know, I had my little startup too before CBRE recruited me finally. But I've held pretty close to 100% retention. But you know, when you lose a client, instead of getting angry and resentful, imagine that, and start blaming and stuff, right? Go ahead and do a dive in there to self, and really, and you got to do it with lucidity and sobriety. I mean, you really got to get honest about it, real clean, and go ahead and, you know, what is your part? And so I try to walk. I said to, you know, my partner Shannon and I, we go through this personally. you know, anything in life and calamity, you don't have to take more than one BIP past up to 50%, because it always takes two parties, a minimum, by the way, to participate in whatever the hell went on or is going on. So, you know, I try to really work on that, and that requires energy and work to go ahead. What is my part, and why I'm no longer working with that client? And it happens very rarely, but it's happened twice in 14 years. That's pretty damn good for, you know, hundreds of thousands of contacts and studies that I've delivered over the years. But you know, I did that imperfectly, right? And how I respond to that. But once I get that out of the way, all by myself, by the way, then I go ahead and see how things could have been differently. How you know, go ahead and do the deep dive on that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole separate meeting there, Danny.
I know, we've got lots of them going on. We've got lots of different conversations that are gonna octopus out of this. But Travis is watching. Travis is a great guy. He's out of Boston. He said sales.
Oh, cool.
Once I say hello to a sales call, they never go away. And I can see that with Travis, because Travis is a man. He leads with honor and purity and heart. And he's like, so yeah, I don't know. I met Travis and I'm still with him. So there we go.
That's funny. So are you traveling, you and your family, you and your husband, or are you based in your home? What, you know, you're kind of a contemporary nomad of sorts, Danny.
Yeah, you don't know where I am. I mean, behind this flag, I could be anywhere in any location. It's kind of a secret. Okay,
well, you know, we'll keep it a secret.
Yeah, I'll tell you later in private where I am.
Okay, cool.
No, but I have to, as we're coming here to a close, because I knew I would go over with you, because I could chat with you forever. But you have to answer this question. You have to answer it with the first thing that comes to your mind. Don't give me some like crazy answer that you think I want to hear. Okay, so this is the true Jonathan. Right now, in this day, today, as we sit here, what does love mean to you, Jonathan?
What does love mean to me?
Yes. In this moment.
In this moment. Grace.
Mm. You know, no one's ever said that. I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grace and compassion. Grace. There's not enough of that going on a micro or a macro level right now in our country.
Yeah.
And that is definitely a separate meeting.
That is definitely a separate meeting. That's a good one. That is a good
one. Hats off to you. Yeah, Grace. And, you know, Shannon will be seeing this video, and she actually has something to do with that. So it's really her.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that even more. I don't even need to know the details of that.
Well, no, it's just the postmodern honeymooners, you know. You know, to the moon, Alice. I mean, you know, what you do is that we both try to give each other a little bit of grace even when we don't want to.
Yeah.
There's no secret on that. That's been going on for nearly 10,000 years, Danny.
I think it is a secret because I don't think a lot of people apply this.
No, you're right. And you want to, you know, good things for your professional want to, you know, vis-a-vis, go in your personal life. Good things that you're practicing in your personal life, you want to spill in, you know, vis-a-vis in both lives. And there's just not enough of that going on either. I mean, you really got to have, it's not just one wheelhouse. I mean, it's two wheelhouses, and it's okay to have both of them in order to the best of your ability.
Yes. Yes.
That's another meeting too.
That is.
Anyway, gosh, Danny, I respect and love the heck out of you. You're a first-class woman, and I just, you know, first impressions count, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it's only been a couple, 3 weeks. So, and my hat's off again to Todd Dean, and I wish you all the peace, happy, joyous, and freedom that you can find in you and your family's world.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. And you have made Todd Dean a little jealous because when I interviewed him, I did it with Mike. It was on a different program, and he was waiting for that love question. The whole entire show, he's waiting for it. And on that show, I don't give it. So he's going to be something.
Yeah, Grace. Yeah, I appreciate the reformation on that, Danny. So now you've got, I'm going to put that, you know, go ahead and put that closer to the top of the pile there and take a look and think about that.
Yeah, I always do. Every answer I get from that, it sits with me all day because it's important how people love. And because love is a flowing, I feel it's very flowing. It means something different to us, you know, throughout our day, throughout our life, throughout our moments. So, and we need to pay attention to it.
I firmly agree. You know, I want to thank you for that. You know, you can find that from a good Italian girl. You know, I really appreciate that question.
Yeah,
you know, that's going to carry me to the day, though. And then what's good news about it is that it's incumbent on me to go ahead and remember that tomorrow morning when I wake up. So thank you.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you, Jonathan. It's so much fun chatting in person, seeing your face, sharing so much because the value you gave, it wasn't just about what you do. I mean, you can apply that to all aspects of life, all aspects of career. So you are, even though when I hear what you do, it sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher to me.
Nobody says Charlie Brown teacher to me like you do, Danny.
In the most loving way.
I know that. I got a bag of rocks over here, you know.
I love you. I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for coming on and just sharing your wealth of knowledge with everybody in your heart. And I really appreciate it so much. And for everybody else out there that is watching, always remember, love hard, love pure, and love proactive. And until next time.
God bless you, Danny.
Amen.